Just whisper singing. We're in Chrome, we're in Chrome. I did. Okay. Hey, welcome to the Death of a Dream podcast. You're here, and that's all that really matters. Today we're diving in. Let's start with our great thing. My great thing from yesterday. Greatness grounding. My great thing from yesterday was, some of the things that I do now completely blow my mind. And when I started this podcast, this one right here that you're officially listening to, I remember just setting the expectation so small, because that's really how you have to set something new up. And I was explaining to someone yesterday, it's just, you can't go into it thinking that you're going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be a long haul. And, so many people give up because they don't see the end picture right away. And I just knew that eventually I would want to leave my job. Eventually I would want to do this full time. And you're not going to be there. And the crazier thing is, now that I am, it's so hard to keep envisioning where we go from here, because so many of the things when I started, I was like, okay, eventually I'm going to go to a studio and it's going to be this super awesome thing. And I don't think that this podcast will ever be in that place, but I just love speaking and finding new ways to utilize that as a tool to be able to monetize that in different ways. I've just always loved talking and thinking and ideating, and I want to do more of that. And so yesterday I finally took a first step into a studio type environment for a different project that I'm working on. But it was really amazing because I had always had these visions of TV and broadcast and performing, basically. And, as someone who comes from a small town, those just aren't things that are realistic to think about. And my great thing is not settling because it's not realistic. The things that I even did last night completely blow my mind with coming from where this all started. But that's the entire point of this. You can't just stop because you're not there yet. Everyone starts at zero. Everyone starts at zero. I'm going to say it again. Everyone starts at zero. And you may go in and you may have a better position, but you can't get there. You can't just hustle past it. I wrote a blog post on this. Actually, I wrote an Insta post on this yesterday. It's my ability to hustle has served me well through my life. I was never the best athlete that walked in. I was never the best coach. I never was going to be gifted with this innate amount of talent. And somehow I always found my way to success or to playing time or to all those things. And that wasn't because I was the best in the room. That was because I didn't stop moving. And so it pains me. Like yesterday, I was just feeling burnout and exhausted and all the things. And I was lucky enough to have like a life-giving energy moment later in the day. But during the day, I had to just take a step back and grant myself grace. We can't just out hustle these low moments, because what I'm finding is those low moments serve me better when I actually value my time there. When I just go, oh, okay, we're low. We don't feel like hustling right now. It's okay. Let's take a step back. Let's go on a walk. Let's play with the girls. Let's take a shower. Let's do whatever we need to do to get through this moment and not just power past it and pretend that it's not happening. And I think my ability to sit in that low moment fed my ability to show up later that day for this amazing experience. I can't even believe some of the things that I'm working on now. But you can't give in because you're not there yet. I could see visions of this, the very thing that I was planning out last night, happening. And even that is going to take a lot of growth and time and effort. I was telling my husband this morning, like, oh, so I don't know that I necessarily shared enough of the background details of a podcast, because a lot of people think it just happens. And, oh, you just show up and then listeners just come. It just doesn't happen that way. And it's so much of a behind the scenes hustle. And I hope that if you only pay attention to the Instagram feed, and I try to be as real as possible, but if you only pay attention to that side of things, it's going to misserve you, right? And that's why the podcast is so important, because this is a real daily account of how you start showing up to live life on your terms. I showed up 2 seasons ago saying, I don't know what I'm going to do with the rest of my life. And I want to figure that out. And so every day we sat down, we figured it out, we talked through it. And what started as an attempt to save myself turned into this life-giving project that will become my life's work, right? And again, you can't just start with that end goal. You have to keep that in mind, but realize it might be a while. I don't know. And that's the beauty of the internet and going viral and the way that things work. You could be two likes away from being at your end goal, right? You could be one person finding it away from being there. And you're going to stop before that? No. Keep going. So my great thing from yesterday really was this realization that you can just continue to push. And yes, anything that you want, anything that you see, even as unrealistic as it seems when you're writing that dream down, even as crazy and as many times that you're told no and as many times as you're canceled on or just shut down, you can still make it happen. You're just going to have to continue to show up, continue to rethink, reinvent, reimagine what it's going to look like. And just know that every door closed is an opportunity to rethink it, to do it better, and to come back again, even stronger. Right? You owe it to yourself to just keep going and to just start. That's it. Yesterday was just such a full circle realization moment of just put your foot in the sand somewhere. Draw a line. Draw a line. And then don't go back. Don't go back. Don't do it. Keep pushing. Keep going. You got this, right? You got this. And so that's my great thing. That's it. That's how I love to start every day. You owe it to yourself to make this a part of your own practice. You got this. I'm telling you. I am telling you. Okay? That's all. That's all on that. What I think I'm talking about today, I'm now live streaming on Facebook, and I don't know that we've given that practice enough credit, but I am saying it kind of throws me off because there's this little live window, and then I see myself, and then I sometimes get distracted by that, and it's a little strange. And I don't know why it's any different because I've been recording the podcast and uploading that to YouTube for a long time now. And I also upload a vlog after I do this, a daily vlog. And I don't know why seeing that little live corner and then seeing sometimes comments flow in just completely blows my mind / distracts it from what we're doing here. But I'm working on holding it all together, okay? It's new. I'm new here. Hey. So, bear with me. And for whatever reason, I've kind of changed my... now I have 2 laptops that are helping capture this, and that change has created some growing pains too. Yesterday, we actually, completely shut down for 2 posts because I realized that I wasn't on the right browser to be recording. So bear with me. We're 2 seasons in here and we're still learning every day. And I promise one thing, you're going to be a part of that. You always have been. So we've added new things. We've added new channels. That was one of my goals for the year of 2020, which 2020, come on, people. We're still accomplishing goals here. We have to. I know. Everything's crazy, and it seems like a crazy time to still be going after goals. And I was just going to be like, Han, take the rest of the year. You don't have to hold yourself accountable to these things. But it's rather simple. I want to create 3 new channels to connect with people by 2021 because I don't know where you're all at. Right? Some people are really tuned up and tuned into the podcast world, and some people are really on board with YouTube and being there. Some people are really just in that Instagram feed. Some people are really into Facebook and Facebook Live and the events that are happening there. So that was my goal this year. Create 3 new channels, and we're getting there, and we're growing more and more every day. And it really is about taking this and expanding it, not because, hey, it's just me here trying to get famous and I just need more people. I don't think any speaker, writer, podcaster, creator sets out for fame. If they set out the way that I did, really my first and foremost intention was finding myself. And along that way, I found a lot of things out. And the importance of telling your story is that people will find themselves in it. And you don't get to control that, right? You are the storyteller. And these stories, they have to be told. They have to. Because if you don't connect with someone's story, if you aren't there, right? And someone's speaking and you're all in and you're like, oh yeah, I totally get this, but there's this one thing missing. That means your story could be that thing for someone, right? I just didn't see enough people that came from a similar background as me, right? Small town, middle class, struggling to figure out why life doesn't feel okay and how to continue pushing, even though you don't feel satisfied, even though you probably should, right? Even though everyone's telling you should. I didn't know how to get through that. And so I just started coming here every day to this podcast because that really was my only outlet of talking through this in real time. And now, because of that, I have found people who do need this message, who were feeling the same as I was. And because of that, because those people came back to me and they said, you know what, this is meaningful work and this is impacting my life, we have to find more people that look like us, right? That's why you share it. That's why you take it out there. Because if it helped you in any way, right? And this goes for all storytellers, this goes for all content creators and speakers and podcasters and writers. If it helped you in some way, it can help someone else. And that's why you keep going, right? Because you don't know. You don't know what's going to save someone. But if it saved you, it can save someone else. And that's why you need to keep telling the story. And that's why your words matter. So if you're questioning, right? Oh, I really want to write. I really want to do something. If you're sitting there and you're saying, oh, but the story's already been told. Oh, but people do it better. Oh, but no one can tell your story. And no one gets to decide that for you, right? And it just depends on what you measure as success, right? Is success to you in telling a story? Success to me really was in if I found something I was passionate about doing. That's why I started. Do I enjoy doing this? Yeah. Does this align with who I want to be? And will I always podcast? I don't know. It depends on what else comes up. But yeah, I've always enjoyed talking and thinking and all the things that I said when I started. I've always enjoyed that. So this makes sense as an outlet for me. And coincidentally, I was the only one that would give myself a microphone. So here we are, right? But I think so many times we just deny ourselves the ability to believe in the things we want to do as being good, right? As being valid and something that we could do. And I think so many times it's because we don't see enough people that look like us doing this work. And we don't hear that story happened in front of us. And that's why I wanted to podcast and document every moment, because if you find me 10 years from now and say that I've written the books and say that I've done the podcast and I've found success, right? And I've made it, in quotations. You can't see that, but I just did it to the live audience. Say that I've made it. What I never want people to do is see me and say, oh, I couldn't be that. I couldn't do that. I have always wanted to be transparent in how you do this, in what it could look like, in your ability, bottom line, to just show up. Right? And to just keep hustling. And if I do make it, it will be because of that. It will not be because of all of the limiting beliefs that I had put on myself as reasons to not do this, right? Not having connections, not having money, not having all of those things, right? And this is what I know to be true. I, for the longest time, had this call in my heart, had this idea of what I wanted to do. And I didn't trust that I had the ability to do those things. I didn't. And now that you're listening to this, now, 2 seasons in, it sounds different from how we began. It's taken a dramatically different turn and approach. I mean, I've thought about changing the description podcast, the first one, because it probably doesn't really align with who we are now. But that was my first time that I sat on this microphone and that I published anything. And if you can see and feel that growth, if you can outlast, right, and just keep going, even though whatever the description is probably crazy and super, super amateur, but that's it. I don't want to erase that stuff. I want you to be able to experience what the evolution of this is, because this isn't a podcast of Hanna sitting here and telling you how amazing she is and you should listen to me for X, Y, and Z. This is a podcast of us growing together, and maybe I'm 2 steps ahead of you, but I'm only 2 steps ahead of you, and we can go together wherever we want to go. And my favorite thing is when I hear from people who are now applying these things to their lives and saying oh, now I have goals. Could you imagine? Right? But that's the thing. I think we just end up floating around because it's kind of well, I should just kind of settle in and be happy and be grateful for my life. And you should be all of those things, but you should never just settle in and allow your life to happen to you. It should happen on your terms, no matter where you're at, no matter what's going on, right? And I know that there are just seasons of your life where you don't have the energy, you don't have the control and the excitement and that motivation right in that moment, right? A lot of those times come with new babies, okay? I'm not going to lie. These were not my strongest, most impactful years of my life, and it's okay. It's okay to take time, but then saddle back up. And what I want to get through today is you have to stop denying yourself the things that are there. Right? I was just talking to a friend last night and I'm like, I can feel your passion radiating on this subject. It is crazy that you don't do something with that if you're that excited about it. Right? But so many times we just deny that because it's well, I don't even know how to do that. Just start. Just do anything. Anything that continues to feed energy. And I love the model of testing with getting up in the morning and seeing if the energy that you generate from that thing, whatever it is, if you're exercising, if you're teaching people how to exercise, if you're doing a cooking show, whatever it is, right? Test. Does it feed you energy? I guarantee if you're passionate about it, whatever it is, right? If it's writing, if it's putting ideas into the world, if it's speaking, if it's whatever, I guarantee whatever it is for you, it will continue to feed you. And you will continue to figure out how to grow it, how to feed more time into it. But we tend to, as a society, and definitely as women, we're such interesting creatures. We tend to measure ourselves based on what we think the end should look like, as how we're supposed to start. And that's the exhausting part, right? That's what exhausts us. We're trying to figure out how to market, how to run a business, how to do X, Y, and Z, and we burn ourselves out before we ever get there. You don't have to know all those things. Start with whatever you can to feed that passion a little bit. Just see. Do the most simple task that you can execute today, whatever that is, right? In the infancy. Stop thinking about being on a TV show as the measure, right? Stop trying to be at the end goal from the start. And the biggest thing I can say is document and capture and allow people to go on that journey with you, right? That's how this podcast started. I don't know. I still don't quite know how to do a podcast. We're figuring out more every day. I mean, literally shut down my podcast stream yesterday, a whole 2 seasons, 275 episodes into this bad boy, still figuring it out. But we started here just trying to figure out if we even enjoyed doing this. If this was something that we wanted to do. And the reason that I was intentional about documenting that is because I want people to be a part of the underdog story that's here, right? You could hear this today and you could go, oh, wow, she's some sort of podcast genius. And you can also experience all of the ridiculous. And I'm saying there are potentially episodes that happened in season 1 that include me singing songs. Also, I think there's some rapping. There's a lot of content, and so it's hard for me to even unpack what's happened so far. But a lot of crazy stuff happened. And that's because we're growing all together. And this is just something that I always wanted to do, and so I just gave myself that gift. And along with that gift, I also gave myself a lot of grace in how you grow this, in how you figure this out. And that probably served me better than any of it. You have to just allow yourself to start something, right? So many people I talk to are like, well, I want to write, or I really, doing a podcast, that would be so fun. Or I really want to start this business, or I really want to. What's the easiest thing you could do today? Taking a step forward. Because you have to stop measuring yourself as someone who's going to step into entrepreneurship or into whatever that dream life is as the end goal. If that's how we're all measuring ourselves, I don't question why we never get anywhere, right? Because that's how I measure myself. Oh, we better have this all figured out before we start because, people want to see that professional polish. People want to see that end goal. Well, yeah, they do, but they also want to see the other side. And I almost think the other side is becoming more important than the end goal. Because you get to grow up with someone. Think about how much better that's going to be. And I left my job really to be able to experience tapping into the full aspect of my creative nature. My day job was very taxing on my ability to tap fully into that and really allow myself the downtime that I needed to create. And now we're just starting. I mean, I'm writing every day now. I'm getting into a better flow with that, and I'm still finding the voice of how I want to write and what I want to do there. And if you read my early on writings, my first blogs, you'd be like, this girl is on some sort of high horse and she needs to get over herself. Someone please buck this girl off. And some of my podcasts sound like that too, right? But that's the beauty of finding your voice over time, of figuring it out over time, of continuing to push and discover and learn about who you are, and welcoming people into that evolution, right? But so many of us are just denying ourselves the ability to tap into the work of our lives, the ability to just do things we enjoy, because it's scary, right? We think that we have to be at that end goal, and we don't. Allow yourself time to explore and discover and write and create and learn and grow. You deserve it. As always, you're smart, you're strong, you're beautiful. What are you going to do? Change the world. Bye, my live people. Oh, I always wipe my nose.